Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June, and it's that time of the week, that Wednesday, where I get with my NFC North Division rival slash friends slash counterparts. Me and Foster sit here. We talk with our rivals. It's not enemy territory. We're one big happy NFC North family, minus a Green Bay Packer, but we'll work on that. Gentlemen, if you want to introduce yourselves, starting with yourself, Dave, and tell the people where they can find you, and then we can get started.
Hey, first off, I want to say happy hump day to Mel. Thank you for joining the show. I'm Dave from Vikings First and Skol. I am the lead producer for Fans First Sports Network's Vikings arm, and you can find us 4, 5, 6 days a week talking Minnesota Vikings just about everywhere. YouTube, podcasts, even in written form sometimes. And we're here to discuss why the Purple will be competing for the NFC North crown in 2024.
Pay?
The Purple. Okay. All right. So yeah, as June said, I'm Pay. I'm representing the
Bears.
Oh, wow.
also under the Fans First Sports Network umbrella. The name of the pod is the Bear Claw. We are coming up fast on the draft, fellas, and it's the Bears. It's the Bears. It's Christmas time for us. We're used to getting presents around this time. Hopefully it's not a box of coal like we've gotten in the past. But check us out. We will be doing mock drafts ad nauseum for the next 2 weeks. Come see what we got for you.
False.
I'm just the other half of the team.
What is with you today, man?
You sound tired.
I don't know. I'll perk up.
Oh, okay. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show. I want everybody that's paying attention. Like, I'm a Lions fan, but Pay and Dave have really good shows, so tune in to those. Please check them out. I mean, you can listen to the Lions all day with me and Foster, but it's okay to listen to other teams. We give you permission, but we support Dave and we support Pay. They have really great shows. Pay, you also do some work with the Steelers, correct? Or you just chime in?
No, I am an affiliate with the Steel Curtain Network also under the FFSN umbrella. I co-host one of their Friday night live shows called The Homies, where it's an AFC North centric type show.
Okay.
As you know, it's a Steelers network, so it's got a Steelers bend, but we have Bengals fans on there, a Browns representative, and I just come in and just throw water on everybody. Like, it's not that good what you're talking about.
No, okay.
If you've watched it, it's fun because I can see the AFC North guys going at it, and then Pay sitting there getting ready for that softball just to nail them with it.
Yeah. So support these guys. They have great shows. Man, just check them out, man. I mean, I definitely gonna to start tuning in more. But anyway, it's been a very, I know for Detroit, as far as the Lions is concerned, it's been a dry week. We have 2 weeks left until the draft, and I guess I'll go around and ask Dave, have you heard anything new coming out of Vikings camp? Any kind of news, updates whatsoever going on?
We're in just as big as drought in Minnesota as well. The person that knows what's going to happen or what they want to happen in KOC and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, they aren't talking to anybody. I doubt KOC's even telling his family who he wants. It's bone dry. There's speculation all over the place, but it's bone dry. And as I said a couple months ago, we get flavors of the week for players, right? First, it would be Caleb Williams is great. He's God. He's going to the Bears. They can do no wrong. Oh, wait, they're Chicago. And then, right? And then we get into, well, KOC loves Drake May. Got to go for Drake May. Well, Jaden Daniels is the best, right? And each one has gone up and down, and JJ McCarthy skyrocketed up, saying, oh, no, they need to be JJ McCarthy. That's who they need to get. Well, this week it's been Michael Penix Jr. week. He has been hyped as, well, he's got the arm. He can make the throws. He's a pocket passer, just like Kirk Cousins was. Could he be our next quarterback? We don't know. But like I said, flavor of the week is Michael Penix Jr.
Okay.
Plus, we've done about a bazillion mocks. We're about all mocked out.
We mocked out it. Me and Foster did a couple of mocks. It was fun while it lasted. I can't do any more mocks. Pay, any news on the Bears front?
Well, I was hearing that Jaden Daniels was now everybody's pushing him as maybe he's actually the best guy out there. I know it's not new, but I've been hearing more of that trickles. I'm interested in hearing what you're hearing about Michael Penix Jr. Because I thought everybody okay, they got off that wave. They stepped off the escalator from they let the college football stuff die down, and now we've realized that Penix is a second day type quarterback, not a first night draft superstar. I really want to hear that stuff. Other than that, news for the Bears. The number 13 is up for grabs. Last year's draft pick, Tyler Scott, he wore number 13 last season, and he made it known that he's changed his number to 10. So Keenan Allen, perhaps you can have your old number, or maybe the presumptive number 1 draft pick, Caleb Williams. Unlucky 13 is up there for anybody.
Why? Why does it have to be unlucky 13?
Well, it's just got that juju around it. It's got that energy. Yeah, that 13 is unlucky. But let me tell you something. Whoever wears it this season is going to be very lucky.
Okay. That's what Foster. I mean, I know I haven't heard anything out of the Lions camp. Have you heard anything as of recently, Foster? You've been out of town a lot, so I haven't been able to talk to you. You're a very busy guy.
Well, but I think the most hot topic right now is the fact that Jared Goff was just on a podcast talking about just the past season and the media and stuff like that. Okay. I didn't look into it a ton just because a Jared Goff interview doesn't sound all that appealing, but I think he did have some. He said that the trade for him to leave LA to go to Detroit was like the best thing that ever happened to him, just in being able to revitalize himself. But I think he did have some choice words for a certain beat writer that questioned, the Lions' preparedness for the San Francisco game, and he was just kind of felt that it was being too heavily emphasized, the fact that we're not used to them being good, and he was like, hey, we can just accept the fact that we are a good team, and you don't have to harp on the fact that
right,
we haven't been there before, or we're not used to seeing it. So but yeah, I'm definitely ready for the draft to officially start. I'm pretty mocked out myself. Like June said, we did a mock draft this past week, and I'm ready to just.
We did.
Yeah. We did 2 in the midst of one episode, and I'm just ready to see who we get, so we can go through the whole ups and downs of I hate this pick, I love this pick, and this is what the team is going to really look like. Because up until now, it's all speculation, and I'm ready to move forward into the OTAs and all the other stuff. It's been a long road.
Okay. Pay, you put something in the inbox about Marvin Harrison Jr. What's the news? I also saw something right after that about they saying that possible stock drop. I didn't read into it, but what's the latest about that young man there?
Well, he's been not doing his workouts. He's just been showing up and just talking to folk, and not running, not catching from anyone, anything like that. So there's been some thoughts that maybe he's a little slower than people think. He's been thought of as the number one wide receiver prospect, maybe even the number one player for a good 15 months, maybe. So now that we're inside the month of draft time, and he's saying, you know what, I'm secure. I don't need to do any of these things. I want pro day, individual workouts. I don't do anything. So there's been some talk that his stock has fallen off a little bit. Those other guys, Adunzier, Neighbors, maybe even some of the round bellies, as Dave calls them. Maybe they're moving up in that space where Marvin Harrison Jr. used to occupy. And there's some thought that he can fall out of the top 5 because of how some other players like JJ McCarthy, for instance, his stock has risen. Teams like the Vikings, they are quarterback needy. They might move up and push down skill position players. So it seems like a perfect storm that maybe Marvin Harrison falls to number 9. I mean, crazier things have happened.
Well, I think after the first pick, I mean, there's like nothing written in stone, but this could all be solved if the Bears just do what I need them to do and draft Marvin Harrison to start the draft off with. Yeah, that would go terribly for them. And I would truly adore that as a Lions fan. Yes. I mean, it's not going to happen, Pay. Don't worry. I mean,
you don't know.
I mean, can we agree? Like after the first pick, like it's just we don't know where it's going to go because you've heard the May talk, you've heard Daniels, and then this now going on with Marvin Harrison Jr. Like it's going to get like really interesting, especially after that first pick. I mean, after that second pick, I think Jaden Daniels is going at number 2.
I would be shocked if Jaden doesn't go at number 2. I would be pleasantly surprised if Drake falls to number 4 or even lower than that. But yeah, I agree. After the first one, maybe even number 2. I think we know what's going to happen there. The wild card starts with New England. There's been some smoke that New England might not even want a quarterback this draft, which
that's cap
to me is crazy.
That's cap.
I disagree.
Yes. I mean, it's smoke season as we talked about last week. It's smoke season, but this smoke has been there, and the thought is that they're not ready for a quarterback yet. And I'm thinking, like, if you're not ready now, you never will be, because it makes no sense to wait for a worse quarterback class to get your quarterback.
This is the class.
Right. If you're going to get one, get it now, and then you figure out everything else later.
But New England is in such a hurting status for their offense that I think people worry about if they don't get a left tackle, if they don't beef up the line, if they don't get wide receivers, that any quarterback they bring in, they're going to ruin because he isn't supported. And like previous quarterbacks drafted in the past that go to absolutely crappy teams in horrible situations, they may have developed over their career to be decent, but yet they never got the chance because they were in a bad situation and they got ruined. And a lot of people are thinking that if New England is smart, that's a big question mark. Now they're using, Ron Wolf's kid to do the drafting up there. And Ron Wolf was pretty smart at drafting, unfortunately for the NFC North. That they may not be ready for him, that they want to go and build up and then wait next year or the year after and see what they can get in between in the way of quarterback play.
Not that I totally agree with that, but it's just that's been the norm. That's what these teams do. They still get a quarterback regardless, and they build around the quarterback. That's what they've always done. Like you look at Bryce at, at Carolina, like he just, he's just like he didn't have much of an offensive line or any wide receivers. So
his leading wide receiver was this guy right here.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just the norm. Like they usually don't wait. They don't pass up on a franchise quarterback because they don't have anything else. They at least get the quarterback, and they hope within the free agency the following year or the draft that they add to it. Let's take a quick break, and we'll continue this. That's kind of interesting though. For those that are listening, you'll hear some ads, and for those that are watching, we'll be back in like 15 seconds. I know I'm just tired of the draft needs to happen like tomorrow. Like this is killing me. Like I've seen a million mock drafts, and the player that the players that I want, they're usually going into mock drafts, and sometimes, I just hit the repeat button so he'll fall where it's getting weird. Like it's getting weird for real. Let me ask you guys now you guys pay attention to everybody else. Let's talk outside the NFC North league box. Have you noticed any other team in the offseason that made some impressive offseason moves, Dave? I know I have my team involved. I mean, one team that's right at the top of my head as far as their offseason, but do you know of any teams in your mind that have had an exceptional offseason thus far?
Well, not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I did nothing. I've been tracking the Vikings and the NFC North so closely. I haven't seen, somebody winning, free agency or pre-draft.
Houston. I was going to say that, Pay.
Yeah.
I was going to say Houston and the Steelers. But go ahead, Pay. Do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, Houston would be my number one with a bullet.
Yes.
That's because they won the draft last season.
Yes.
And then now they followed it behind with a great season, and then they come behind it. They didn't rest on their laurels, and they swung for the fences this free agency period. They added another wide receiver. Like, who needs another wide receiver for CJ Stroud? They added a bona fide top 5 receiver. They added another pass rusher. They swapped one out and got another one and got a better one, Danielle Hunter. Yeah, I mean, they've won free agency. There's been some teams like you've mentioned, Pittsburgh, the Bears, and some other ones that's done some, under the radar stuff in free agency that's made their team better, but incrementally. So it's not as big splashy as like Houston, but so
right.
Houston is definitely all eyes on them.
Wait, hold on. I just noticed something. You can't get away from Justin Fields, can you?
Why can't I? Oh, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah.
I had a question though. You think Houston had a better draft than Detroit?
Yeah. Well, they did draft the offensive rookie of the year.
Stroud.
They did draft the defensive rookie of the year.
That kind of trumps when you get a franchise quarterback.
Yes.
I don't know why I was thinking Anderson and Dell, but didn't think Stroud.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe he's a rookie with how well he played.
As good as he did, as well as he performed, that kind of trumps everybody's draft. Like, you get you a franchise quarterback off the rip. That's
Yeah, the QB, him being a QB holds the most weight though.
Yeah.
This
Gibbs
brings up
was really good this year.
this brings up an interesting question. Piggyback off your question, Foster. How do you grade a draft in the moment versus a year later? Because I would have graded the Lions draft as C at best in the moment. I felt like they took some reaches. Now they did pay off. They did pay off. So I'm
That's
like,
the point.
I
They're paying off.
totally
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree because I hated all the picks. I
Oh,
hated
yeah, in the moment. Yeah, in the moment, of course. You said it was C's in the moment or C's
at best. And that's me being nice.
Yeah, in the moment.
calling it a C.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree.
I hated it. You traded down and got Gibbs. Why? You got Laporta. Why?
Yeah,
Because
Sam
you like
Laporta.
tight ends.
Wait a minute. Sam, well, I forgot about him. We had a great draft.
And
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a great draft. Not a good.
Well,
that
he
was a
said in the
great-
moment though, like in the moment.
Oh
it's
yeah.
like,
We're
eh.
talking about the Texans. We're talking about the Texans a year removed, the way we're talking about the Lions a year removed.
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought in the moment I had Houston like,
Moment it
oh
was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
And they traded up. They had the number 2, and they traded up to get back into the top 5 to get the best defensive player on the board. Like, okay, that's cojones.
And
I like-
even in the aftermath of it all, he still did really well with the draft.
Oh yeah, it aged very well. Yeah, but it's all speculative.
In the aftermath, I will say the Lions had a great draft that I couldn't stand.
I think the Jaguars were happy with Trayvon Walker or whoever they got at the time, but they know they messed that one up.
Yeah, they messed that up. Thanks, Jags. Yeah. Yeah, they
Well,
messed.
it could be like pay if you're talking in the moment. All right, let's take 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from tomorrow, Thursday.
Hurry up. Yes.
The Bears select number 1, Caleb Williams, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. drops to number 9. You select him at 9. Day 1, how do you grade that draft?
He's not gonna like it.
I'm the worst one to ask this because I hate a wide receiver in the top
He
10.
hit wide receiver.
Even the second pick, even your second draft pick, not your first.
Now,
your second.
if we get Marvin Harrison at 9, that's a bargain. I would grade it up. I would bump the grade up from right there. Like, okay, we got a bargain. But I was just, again, I've been saying it since what's this, April? I've been saying it since October. Like, man, we got so many holes on this team. We need to prioritize fixing one of those more necessary spots. A wide receiver, we can get that elsewhere. You saw us trade for one. you can draft Tank, like you said, Tank Dell, and all those are Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are third round and fourth round guys. And you can find quality later. We don't have to swing for the fence for a hood ornament in the top 10. If you got two top 10 picks, you gotta get one of those. You gotta get a pass rusher. You gotta get a left tackle. You gotta get a quarterback, something like that. That's just me. But
Okay, so you like value of the pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It is an informed mindset, but as far as the quote unquote sexy pick, I think the casual would freak out at the idea of getting 2 top 10 guys that the target, the franchise quarterback and the not even number 1 target, but
a top target. You can just say that.
Yeah, I mean Moore is very good, and so is the other Allen. But yeah,
that's another
future top target for sure.
That's another issue I have with it. We draft a wide receiver in the top 10, and he's coming in to be what, third on the pecking order in targets.
Technically,
that's
if the tight end doesn't get into the action.
No, you draft a top 10 wide receiver, you expect them to be wide receiver 1.
Yes, Dave. I expect it.
Sure.
I expect
Moore was a Pro Bowler though.
Yeah,
Well,
you got DJ
then
Moore.
you start talking about the best pair of wide receivers.
But at the same time, though, they got Keenan Allen. They probably won't draft a wide receiver with that number 9 pick, though.
Knowing the Bears, they probably will. This is the smoke I'm starting to believe. Like, A lot of the you called it out, Foster. A lot of Bear Nation are is that C word.
Yes.
Casual.
Yeah.
They know wide receivers. Wide receivers are sexy. They're all over Instagram. They're in the music videos.
Right.
You know them. You know
Yeah.
them, right? They scored the touchdowns. You know their name.
Mhm.
You play you highlight them when you're playing Madden.
His
Of
dad,
course.
Right.
This will be a perfect pick for the fan base.
Yeah.
However, I've seen the Bears struggle at getting to the quarterback so much over the last 3 seasons.
Who you
Two and a half. We have to, make that a priority at some point. I just know, and we definitely need an upgrade on the line. So, but I do agree with my co-host. You don't want to reach. If Marvin Harrison or Neighbors or somebody like that is the best player on the board, don't reach to grab a prospect whose grade does not equal out to them. I get that.
Well, if Joe Alt's available at 9, do you select him?
If Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. is available as well, I wouldn't. No, I
would go get Harrison at 9.
Hey man, I don't know what's up with you, man. You just
no. I mean,
I'll give you the number one tackle coming out, and you go for a wide receiver that's ranked 2 or 3.
Yes, I would want the tackle. I think that we need a tackle. No, I don't think I know we need a tackle.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm saying is that I agree with my co-hosts, both of them, that would be a reach if those two if Marvin Harrison is available. So I'm putting, you're caught between a rock and a hard place, right? You don't want to reach, but I don't want to necessarily draft a hood ornament when we don't need rims. We need, get them brakes fixed.
Well,
The engine.
But wouldn't you consider that a reach if you're drafting these rims and hood ornaments? Like, if I'm getting the number one quarterback and I don't have an offensive line and the number one rated tackle is right there, don't you think you get a book in to protect him?
You do, but definitionally, I wouldn't call that a reach if you go ahead and get the wide receiver.
No.
What the smart thing would do, and this is another problem I have. If you have these top picks, year in and year out, you can't keep trading back. That's what good teams do. Good teams can do that because they're operating from a position of strength. The Bears don't have strength. The Bears are a feeble bear. they're not that crazy,
if you will.
A cub, if you will. There you go. They have to get the best player on the board, and unfortunately, if it just so happens that a wide receiver is the best player on the board, then I'll make my peace with it. But I would prefer you take that choice away from me, please.
Just make sure you stay away from DBs and rush ends. Same for you, Minnesota. Stay away.
Well, we could use those, but I think we're going first. We're looking for that QB of the future. But we have that segment of our fan base that believes if we trade up beyond 11 to grab anywhere from JJ McCarthy, Penix, anybody, that we have overspent, that they want to sit there at 11 and hope one of the quarterbacks falls to us and then take the 26th pick and then get that defensive guy, right? Interior defensive line, edge, corner, whatever it is. But that particularly interior defense is what everybody wants. Get him there. And they think if we go up, say to number 4 or number 5 spot and get JJ McCarthy, that we've overspent and that they're going to grade us down for it. Now, that's in the immediate. If JJ McCarthy is our quarterback of the future and he takes us all the way to the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. It's an A, right? But for the immediate, did they waste it trading up? And there's a good chunk of my fan base that argues over that daily.
I can see it.
It's gonna be real interesting. I think it's gonna be real interesting. Especially, like I said, I pretty much am banking on the Bears to draft Caleb at 1, and then it's like there's the rest is pretty much unknown going down. I think it's going to be really interesting depending upon who goes what next, this, that, and other. I think the news with Marvin Harrison has been crazy. Like him not running, I never thought he was like lights out as far as speed. I thought he would very good speed, nothing that's crazy, but he's like 6'3", 6'4", and he runs excellent routes. So he's a good wide receiver. I just think there's a couple on the board, me personally, that I rated higher. The guy from Washington, and I like both those wide receivers out of LSU. Those guys, there's something else.
And LSU can produce some good wide receivers.
I bet you think that.
I'm not the only one. Look at Cincinnati.
Yeah,
look at who the Giants had drafted 10 years ago.
Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Odell.
Yeah.
He kind of started that trend. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean they've had. I mean, are they wide receiver?
No, DBU.
DB, yeah, they produce some D backs as well.
I think even Steve Smith said that they were wide receiver, and I don't think he necessarily just would throw that around.
Yeah, well, he said it. I agree.
That's the way I feel.
I'm not going to lead to disagree with him.
Pay attention to Steve Smith when he talks about these wide receivers.
It's fun to watch.
Like I mean, he's kind of harsh on a few, but
oh yeah.
Hey, there's a connection between wide receivers and DBs. They practice against each other and they make each other better.
DBs are receivers that can't catch.
Yes.
There's some wide receivers that should have been DBs still. So.
Yeah, they just couldn't come to wraps with it, but
yeah. I mean, the Raiders drafted a couple that should have been DBs.
Well, Al Davis just wanted the fastest guy.
You just get the fastest guy out there and just put him in the offense. Go long. So, I guess I don't know. It's a lot of stuff going on. Previously, previously a couple weeks ago, and now it's just like really, really quiet, and it's kind of eerie to me, right? Because it's like, there's has to be something, and right now usually is the time where the smoke screens come. Like I think the Marvin Harrison Jr. is a smoke screen. I think so. I think there's the Michael Penix Jr. I think that's a smoke screen. Because all the way up until then, all the way up until just this week, we talking late first round, early second round. Now all of a sudden, he's one of the best in the draft. So I don't know, Dave. What makes it? Is it just smoke screen stuff, or did Penix he do something to increase his draft stock, or I don't know how he threw. Or
he had a decent pro day. Now, whether it's that or a combination of private workouts, you're seeing a lot of these top quarterbacks having private workouts, and Minnesota's no different. They've had private workouts with all of them, except for Caleb Williams, which they anticipate going to the Chicago Bears, and Jaden Daniels. Now, not that they didn't want Jaden Daniels, but they were in Washington looking at specifically Michael Penix and talked to him and, did this over a few day period. They want to see what he's like outside of a scripted pro day. Pro days, you're supposed to look good. Those are choreographed events.
Yes.
Right? If you look bad at the pro day, there's a problem. You are supposed to look good. You're throwing the receivers, will catch the ball, how they run, where to expect them, all that sort of stuff. So they're doing these private workouts where they spend time with the kid. They go out to lunch or out to supper. They do things on a normal basis to figure out how this guy thinks. And then they start running them through drills or routines that they want. And supposedly it was reported that Kevin O'Connell and Josh McCown, our new quarterbacks coach, spent hours with Penix and had him throw, what was it, over 100 passes for 2 hours worth of work, and tell him, now we want you to throw this. Now we want you to throw that. Now we want you to do this. And now we want you to do that. Right? That can happen. That sort of deal can happen during these private workouts. And how the player performs during those will move a player up or down on said team's board. So if Penix has moved up on ours, it could be. He could be the fallback. He could be, if we get boxed out of trading up, which is possible, that we select Penix at 11. Is that an overdraft by value? Oh, most definitely. But if he turns out, nobody cares in 3 years. But it's if he turns out. Now, when you're talking drafting quarterbacks, this is something that makes or breaks head coaches and GMs.
Right.
They've got to get it right. They rarely have a second chance at it. And if they don't get it right, they get fired. It's real simple. And so there's a lot of pressure on. But speaking of other ones, you want to talk about smoke and what's going on. We're hearing this week, Jaden Daniels, right? Presumptive number 2 pick in the draft.
Okay.
Right? Everybody likes him. And on some draft boards, he's rated the number 1 player. Right? Some draft boards have Marvin Harrison as the number 1 player. Some have Caleb Williams. But we never got that private visit that we wanted. And the Vikings requested and never could make it happen. Things couldn't happen. And the Vikings said, right, and figured, oh, well, he's blowing us off. Because there's always an excuse on Jaden's part, as reported. Well, and we figured he's going second off the board anyways, and we're not trading up into the second spot. It's very unlikely. The Patriots are crazy for what they may be asking, or Washington is crazy for what they may be asking. I mean, we'll probably give up both firsts and next year's first, whatever, but which is probably still an overpayment. But we're not going to, make it worse and give, oodles of more capital.
Right.
So we figured, well, now this week, Jaden Daniels is screaming at the Vikings, yes, I want to come do the workout with you. Well, that makes me wonder, where is that coming from? Is that coming from his agent? Right? Is that coming from teams? Where is that smoke coming from? That you want so badly now to work out for us and spend time. Does that mean that you've already been told that the Patriots are probably going with an offensive tackle or somebody, or an edge, something to build up the team, so you're not going to get taken in number 2? And number 3, Washington may be going in a different route. They may trade Drake May or J.J. McCarthy, and now you're afraid you're going to fall. So it makes you go, sometimes. And you don't know whether it's true, don't know whether it's right, whether it's flavor of the week, whether it's smoke, where it comes from the agents, where it comes from the teams, who's leaking this information. And that's what's fascinating about this time of year for me, is to see the psyops, the psychological operations that are going on by everybody concerned to raise their value or lower some player's value so, the team can hope they draft him, type of deal. So I don't know.
Well,
2 weeks.
One thing, I don't trust the pro days. I don't. If you notice, whenever there's a pro day, those wide receivers and those running backs, they're 40 times go. I mean, they are so much better than they are at the combine. like you can go from a 4.5 to a 4.4 easy running your pro days at college. So I don't go by those at all. So they're tricky. I just don't do the college pro days. I mean, if you work out for a team, that's one thing, and they see something that they like, they usually don't do 40 times or nothing like that. But quarterbacks usually throw there, and I think that's the best gauge as far as throwing. If you work out for your organization and show them, your arm talent. So
because the organization is going to ask you to do things they want you to do
according to their system and the read they want. They probably test, probably talk to an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. You're going to go through the gauntlet to see how your processing is, along with your physical ability. So,
And it's also a personality test. How are you treating the staff in the cafeteria?
yeah,
Mhm.
Things like that. You may run by the sports psychologist's office, and Minnesota has at least one. They tend to help. So, but you're going to go by everybody, and everybody sort of gets to look at you and eyeball you. And it all depends how you act with them, act and react, as to whether you get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So you want somebody that's good for the team and that can do it, not be an absolute jerk about playing, because it is a team sport.
right.
You want to get along.
Sounds nerve-wracking
Mhm.
under a microscope.
It's involved. Well, it's no different than going for a job interview, an important job interview. There's multiple levels to that. If you're going for a big job, one I went to, I had 5 different interviews, right? I had an initial, and then it was off to the headquarters, and I had 4 different there, and they were testing different things, and I was meeting everybody in between, right? And they were evaluating me the whole way. In our company, after the fact, I get told is that if you see somebody that's in here for an interview and you don't like, you can say no. We had a guy that came in, thought he was God's gift to the business. He didn't wash his hands in the bathroom. He had his return flight ticket waiting for him by the time he got upstairs to the receptionist, because there was somebody else in the bathroom that worked for us, said, nope, he's not our type. He was done.
Wow.
So
You
what
know
you're
what?
saying,
That's
Dave,
valid.
If you're watching me that tough, I probably don't want to play for you. I mean, that's just
so Dave, what you're saying is you wouldn't want Micah Parsons.
No, I'd love to have Micah Parsons, but there are some idiots. I wouldn't want to have Russell Wilson when he came with the attitude that he did when he went to Denver, of wanting to have his own office, and players couldn't call him direct. They had to go through his agent. They couldn't talk to him. I don't want anybody like that.
Wow, I didn't know.
sorry,
like that.
Pay. Sorry, Pay.
You can deal with so much assholedness, if you want to call that a word, but there's some points when it's like, no, it's a detriment to the team.
That's what they're saying out of Denver. That's what the word out of Denver is right now. Again, could be smoke. Could all be smoke.
The word out of Buffalo, why they traded Dixie.
Yeah. Micah don't talk to the staff. He don't talk to what did you call them? The caterers, this and
the cafeteria people. Yeah, I mean, they're looking at everybody within the building. I mean, because it's all one big team, whether it's the analytics intern, right, or the cafeteria person, which Vikings employ a couple chefs for nutrition purposes, but there's also, cafeteria lady. If you think of the Adam Sandler movies, and fixing the pizza and has the hair and just anyways.
Sorry, Mel. I wash before and after.
Before? I don't do all that.
Do you sing happy birthday too? 2.5 times?
I'm not going to elaborate on it before.
You're gonna leave that right there.
Leave it at that.
I think we need to switch tacks. Pay asked about the Kansas City Chiefs, since they didn't get the residents of Kansas City did not vote them a new tax.
Well, they voted to. They didn't vote to extend the current sales tax.
Okay.
Which a vote no, which is what happened. A vote no on that prop means they get they will be a new tax that they would get, and I'm sure that new tax will have some of that stadium money in it anyway. But just Clarify. Go on, Dave.
Well, I want to look in it because if we had on Fans First Sports Show yesterday, where we had call sheet guy and talking about should fans pay in taxes, should cities pay in taxes for their team, and he was against it, saying no. Well, I did some research. Now, Dave believes most taxation is theft. We don't want it. We don't need it. All that, right? And it's tax season right now for all of you that are waiting till the last second. But when it comes to stadiums, most people think, well, all the owners are billionaires. They can afford it. Well, my question is, how many stadiums are owned by their owner and how many are not?
I know Dallas has. Jerry bought his. Well, he paid for his construction.
Of course.
But he doesn't own it.
Well,
Just
I mean,
like the Wilfs.
exactly. Well, you understand that is a lot of public land. So, of course, you know, if you're gonna get taxes in on that building in some way, the county, the municipality, whatever, they will be fools to allow that to be privately owned.
Right. How does Chicago do it?
The Chicago Park District owns Kaminsky Park, and Soldier Field. Soldier Field used to be a landmark. It is no longer that.
Because they ruined it. That's what the Historic Society said.
That's
It used
correct.
to
That's
be
correct.
The putting the spaceship down inside Old Soldier Field ruined its aesthetic, and they said, no, we're taking it off the historic list.
Yeah, you're right. Aesthetically, is no longer as pleasing as it used to be. Wrigley Field is privately owned, and I'm not sure about United Center, but I will believe that Reinsdorf owns that.
Well, when it comes to Chicago, you guys are owned by your park district, both for the White Sox and the Bears. Bears obviously want a new stadium, and they're threatening to move to, what is it? Down the road.
Arlington Heights. If not,
stay on the river, on the lakefront, and people want them to stay on the lakefront. Did you know that they still owe almost $500 million on the bond, the original bonds for the Soldier Field?
Yes.
And that they're expecting if they build a new stadium, it's going to cost an additional $2 billion. And they'll have to pay off the original bond, and they get bonds for the rest. But it will remain within the park district's control. Now, with that, the park district can dictate what the stadium's used for, right? They can say, hey, yeah, we're leasing out. Bears, you're our number one leaser, right? You're going to pay X number of $1 million per Sunday to play, blah, 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 and you're going to cover 60% of the cost of building the new one, right? Is generally around where it goes. And so they do that, and they get that, and they build a new stadium. That's what's happening in Tennessee, right? Right now, Tennessee's building a new one. That's what's happening in Buffalo. Buffalo's is under construction for their new stadium. All that sort of stuff is normal. It's normal for all but 4 teams in the NFL. All but 4 are owned by the Stadium Facilities Association, whatever they want to call it, Park District in Chicago. Minnesota, it's the Stadium Facility, blah, blah, whatever. And they're the government agencies that run and technically own the stadiums. Minnesota, when we built US Bank, it was supposed to come in right under $1 billion. I think it did come in under budget, or right under 1.1. And the Wilfs paid over $600 billion. They've already paid off their end of the bond. They're done with that, but they still owe rent every time there's a ball game, right? And every time they use it, they're paying rent, and they're paying their fair share of that rent goes to taxes and all the other stuff. But there are taxes and pull tabs and all sorts of other things that the local government voted on and said, yes, this is how we're going to raise the money. And they did it. Now, in Minnesota, the facilities group not only does US Bank, they do the baseball, the Twin Stadium, and the Wolves Stadium as well. Now, the only one that turns a profit, I shouldn't say turns a profit, the other ones will break even. US Bank actually adds value to every citizen in Minnesota or in Minneapolis of a tune of about, I think it's $165 a year, adds profit on top, where the other ones just break even. Now, having a stadium, there's a whole psychological benefit of my city. Look at my city. We got a professional team. We got this. And there's a lot of pride that comes with that. And that's a good thing. And a lot of cities, a lot of governments want that. So they'll agree to that. So that's what happens. Well, that brings us to Kansas City, right? If their taxes run out, now they're under contract until 2032 to play at Arrowhead. But after 2032, they could leave. And Dallas, the mayor of Dallas is saying, hey, we'll build you a stadium. Come down here. Come where you were born. And that's the scuttlebutt that happened this year. Now, can anybody tell me what 4 teams are owned by their owner or their owner's company?
Ford Field.
Nope.
What?
What?
Nope. Ford Field belongs to Wayne County and City of Detroit.
I would think
Sounds accurate.
the Dolphins.
You got one. Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Ross.
They're owned by the owner.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's 3 more.
Stephen Ross. Yeah.
Kroenke.
There's 2. It's Kroenke LLC, blah, 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 whatever group. Yes, Entertainment Group LLC. He
Who's
owns Los Angeles Stadium.
Okay.
Let's see. 2 for 2 so far. Let's see.
I didn't expect you to get that, Bay. That's doing great. There's 2 more on there on the East Coast.
Oh, that narrows it down. Let's see. No, it can't be the DC team. It can't be. What?
That's 3.
Yeah.
They own FedEx Field.
Okay. All right. So the 4th one should be
Is it Kraft?
Bingo. June got it.
It had to be Foxborough.
It's Kraft.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft. And it's Kraft, the company that owns the team.
Yeah.
Owns the
That's
stadium.
right, Mel.
Everybody else, it's owned by a municipality, the county, something. They own it. And the teams that play in it are paying rent. Now, they pay for the majority of building the building and the land or whatever, but it's that. And if you get benefits out of it as a city, I think it's absolutely fine. You elect these people representatives to make these choices. So, and then a lot of times it goes straight to the voter. And if they vote yes, yes. If they vote no, hey, they risk losing their team. Kansas City may do that in 2032.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, especially if Patrick Mahomes wins more Super Bowls, they'll build a new stadium just for him.
This is all just posturing. It's page 1 of the
Playbook.
Of the playbook. Oh, our stadium's falling apart, or it's out of code now. Give us a new one. No. Well, okay, we'll move. All right, we'll figure it out.
Vikings were threatening to go to LA for the longest time.
The Chicago White Sox are threatening to go to Tennessee. And guess what?
You say bye.
They'll be in Tennessee.
You got the Oakland Padres. They're playing this next 2 or 3 years up in Sacramento, and then they're heading off to Las Vegas.
Well, Oakland. Or the Athletics, I mean.
Yeah, the Athletics, not the Padres. something in San Diego.
Wow, that's crazy. Didn't know that.
Mhm.
In a minor league stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing in a minor league stadium up in Sacramento.
In
The
Vegas.
next, it's 2 or 3 years while the stadium in Las Vegas gets built.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Gentlemen, we made something out of nothing. Okay. You know, with everything slow motion, we happen to make a good football conversation. I want everyone that's out here listening, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, subscribe to Motor City Metrics, and you can check me and Foster's show out on all podcast streaming platforms. That would be Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. All you have to do is type in the search Bleachers to Speakers FFSN. Follow us, download the episodes for our people that like the audio. Foster, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, pretty much covered everything.
Dave, you got any last words before we get out of here?
Yeah, tonight on the Real Forno Show, we are opening up our show on one of the rare times where we invite viewers to come on and ask questions. And there's plenty of them going straight into the draft. Like I said, this is Masters weekend, right? Indication of spring to me. Masters, if you don't know, has what's known as Amen's Corner. Amen's Corner is, I think, the 12th and the 13th hole, if I remember off the top of my head. It's when they get to the backstretch. We are now in the backstretch heading towards the draft. And so if you're a Vikings fan, you want to come on, hit us up tonight. We go on live at 6 Central on the Real Forno Show. You can catch all our shows over on Vikings First and Skull. Same with our podcasts. All part of Fans First Sports Network.
Hey, any last words, brother?
Yeah, man. You can find the Bear Claw podcast anywhere you get your pods. No longer a Google podcast, though. That's a thing of the past. You can get where we are still on Apple Pods, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, and everywhere else. If you like looking at my face and doing all the other, you want a picture, you want to show with the audio, check us out on YouTube. We're at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan. You come on over there. You got all the audio will be also is uploaded there as well. We got some live shows, some posts, some clips, everything else. You can find the same things as well on TikTok at Chicago Bear Claw and on Facebook at the Bear Claw podcast at Hallis Hall.
Okay, so what do you tell your Vikings fans there, Dave?
Skull Vikings.
Hey,
Bear down.
Foster, I can't ask you. You're taking a chill. So I'll just give it a good old Lions flush there.
There you go.
Thanks for listening.